NLA Cosmetics. Dear Yelena, welcome back. Welcome to the show. This actually is your first time. I'm so honored to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. I can't wait for the audience to get to know you a little bit better, including myself. So let's start with an introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I love that question. I think everyone has their own story. Well, I'm Yelena. I am a mom. That's my primary thing ever. And I'm a wife, a busy wife. And I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own cosmetics line. It's all natural, organic. And that's basically my me in a nutshell, I guess you could say.
That's awesome. That's great. So, I mean, I know there's a story, just like you just said it, right? So there's a story behind why we do anything, especially as entrepreneurs. So tell me a little bit about how did you come about founding your company? What was the story about? What sparked this idea, as everything starts with that?
Yeah, so basically, going way back into my college years, I'm actually a mental health and human services professional. And then I decided that was way too boring for me. Excuse me for those that are actually in the field. And I needed something really kind of fast-paced and beautiful. And I wanted instant gratification when it comes to the results. I wanted to see results right away. So I became a cosmetologist. And when I became a cosmetologist, my parents purchased a salon for me when I was 24. And that's where the whole idea came to me about cosmetics, because I was doing a lot of facials on women. And so when I was doing facials, the first thing women asked when they finished facials is, could I put makeup on? And if you had facial on or waxing done, you're not allowed to put any of that on. So what did I do? I went to Google University, right? You start Googling, okay, which brand can I bring in? And I couldn't find anything that was safe enough to apply immediately onto skin that was just freshly done. So I said, okay, I'm going to need to find a chemist, right? And then I started going from one to the next, beauty expos and shows. And just, it took me years. I got married. I had 2 kids. And when my older one was 1.5 and my baby was 6 months old, because they're exactly 12 months apart, I went to one of my other events. And on the last day, right before the last day, my husband went to play basketball. This is a very famous story. And when he came home, he broke his foot. And he came home and I said, forget it. I'm still going to go. I'm going to the show. I don't care. I left him home with 2 little kids and a broken foot. But I was like, I'm not having it. That was the day that I met the chemist. And my line of foundations, we started with foundations, was born. And I was able to bring it into my customers and say, hey, try this, because we've done something amazing. And with their help, we were able to kind of take it further. And then the brand just kind of started evolving. I never thought about having a brand. It was just a problem that I was solving at that moment for my customers, because I'm a customer pleaser. I love my clients. They're like my family. And so after that, they're like, well, could we do like lipsticks and mascaras? And I was like, oh, I mean, I guess. And so I kept going back to the lab. And so it just kind of was born. It's an accidental brand, but now it's global and it's wonderful. And I'm so proud of it. So
that's amazing. And you just sparked something in me with as far as branding, right? Because in business, I believe your personal brand and your personality is what really sets you apart from anyone else. And that's what attracted me when I first met you, as we met through the Global Women platform together. And as soon as I saw your personality, I'm like, I have to get to know her. It's just this energy about you. So how do you do that? How do you keep that up? Does passion fuel that? Tell me a little bit more about that behind your personality, because personally, and I'm sure that our viewers will pick that up as well, it's like the energy you have, the way that you come across, your presence. So what do you think if you have maybe self-reflected, or maybe other people have told you, what makes you unique as far as your personality and the way that you do what you do? And maybe you could share with other people.
Yeah, I mean, I thank you so much for saying that. I always love when people notice the positivity aspect. I'm the type of person, maybe it's because I'm the oldest in the family and I have a lot of responsibilities, and I grew up not really showing my sad side. And I'll tell you why. Not because I'm hiding or I'm bottling things up or I need a psychiatrist. No, because I made a choice. I made a choice to stay positive. I make a choice every time. I guess this is my psychology background in a way, because I'm able to catch when I'm feeling a little bit down. And I'm like, Elena, go watch like a Turkish drama or a Korean drama, or I love karaoke, or like I will hug my kids, or, I always try to find something positive to hold on to. I'll even go further on the relationship scale. Every one of us who's in a relationship sometimes has an argument with your spouse, right? And the way I choose to go through that is I call my mom and I tell her, my husband is so good. He cooked last night. And then my mom starts, oh my God, your husband is amazing. He's amazing. And then that reminds me why I should be positive and love him. And that little altercation that we had is like, it's totally irrelevant. So I always find a reason to stay positive. And it's so contagious, because whenever I speak with women, they're like, how do you do it? You have 4 kids, they're little, you're nursing, you're doing this, you're running a business, I have kids that are 10, 9, 4, and 1. They're very small and they are demanding, they're boys. And so God bless them. I love them dearly. But I also have a religious household, right? I'm Jewish and we keep Shabbat and all the Jewish holidays. And it's a lot of pressure, and somebody could really break. You could really break. But I believe in energy. Whatever you're feeding is going to grow. I'm a strong believer in that. So if I'm going to sit there, not that I don't cry. I mean, only my husband and my mom can see once in a while that I'm like, oh my God, like I just need a minute. But in general, I'm just, I want to feed the person that is growing and feeding. And because if I'm low on energy, my kids are going to pick it up. My husband is going to pick it up. And it kind of goes downhill from there. So I want to feed that part of me that is going to grow. I pay more attention on the things that I want instead of not want. If that answers the question, sort of.
Ooh, I mean, you could take any of those things you said and just talk about that and really go deeper. It's really amazing stuff. So I think it's exactly what I heard you say is that you found a healthy way to cope, right? I mean,
Yes.
coping with negative things, coping with stressful days, especially as we'll chat a little bit about how do you juggle everything, right? Because that's, I'm sure as moms, I have 2 kids and they're a little bit older, but we always struggle with this. We always struggle with, we want to be successful in our business, but then we also don't want to lack into our relationships, into our parenting, into all these other things that we have to do. And of course, self-care goes usually down the drain at the end of the day. So we're always looking for ways that we can balance somehow, keep, I don't know if balance even exists. There's certain days I feel like other things take over, but I think it's just being okay with that. It is what it is. And exactly what you said, you feel negative emotions because you're human, and it's healthy to do that.
Yeah.
It's unhealthy to just be positive, because I find myself doing the same thing because I'm into this personal development. It's like, and you also when you help other people, you feel like you always have to be the one that has to hold it together and stay strong for everyone. So in a way, it's okay that we cry and we break down. It's okay, we're human, we're vulnerable. But I believe that, something that I like that you said, it's like you found a healthy way to cope with it, and energy is infectious. And
Yeah.
I think that is what it is then. I got my answer, because I was curious to see what your perspective was on that. Because on the outside, obviously, your personality is strong, your presence is strong. So I think that's what other people pick up as well. And then you can relate. And I know you'll talk a little bit more about how do you beautify your clients and things like that. Which I'm sure will be a great interest as far as tips that you'll be given on your area of expertise. But let's stop a little bit in the juggling. So you said 3 boys and a girl, or 4 boys?
4 boys. 4 boys.
Oh my gosh, a football team.
Yes.
So mom of 4 boys. So what is that like, juggling that in your business?
Like you said, there has to be a balance, and it's not really a balance. It's a game of whack-a-mole. Whatever arises, you're like, okay, I'm gonna take care of this, and then I'm gonna take care of this, and you take like one day at a time. My boys are great. Yes, they're boys. They're fighting. They're loving each other. They're friends. One day, it's everything, just like all other children. But I have to say, in the way I kind of upbring them, right, raise them, is to be responsible for what they're doing. And when mommy needs to go live, or when I'm doing something important, they need to go away to a room and be quiet and not whine about it, and respect it, because when they're going to be on Zoom, mommy's going to do the same. So you have to find that golden middle between your support network, which is your husband or wife or partner, your parent, your aunt, your uncle, whatever it is, whoever it is, and your business. If you will not be kind of, I want to say the word pushy, it's not really pushy, it's kind of like assertive. And for example, if your husband says, oh, come on, like, you really need to do this now. Yes, I need to do this now. Like, sometimes partnership is very challenging, more challenging than one may think. But if you're going to take this seriously and you're going to show your partner that this is really important, that part of you, that I guess the better half, right? Our better half is going to be so supportive. And like, my husband is in the other room with the boys, and he's like holding down the house and he's entertaining them. And I'm sure this isn't his first thing in the morning, like, yay, I'm gonna be with kids locked in the room, no Wi-Fi, because like, I'm like, don't use Wi-Fi. But yeah, that's that's called the balance, because it's not really balance. It's like very individual balance. Like, you will have your own balance and I will have my own balance, and it's okay. There is no one perfect definition. She puts on a lipstick and she's perfect. This is a thing. You create your own perfection. As long as, to me, my children come first. So if I need to drop everything and run to them, that's what I'm going to do. And I think because I am family centered, things work. That's balance to me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think marriage is a partnership, especially obviously when you have a partner that you've been with them long term and you're very strong and assertive and you know your reasons why. I think that's what it comes from. You're passionate, right? And I think if they want to be with you, and this got to be reciprocal, right? It's got to be both ways, because obviously, but I think once everyone has their passions and has their things that they're doing, and you can communicate that, and then sometimes you do have to put a lot of strong boundaries if the boundaries are being broken, because I feel like it's something that you owe it to the other person. That saying, how we teach other people how to treat us? I believe that as well.
100%.
We have to let people know these are my boundaries. Yes, this is important to me. So please, let's see what is it that you can do to help me out in this. And then you will give back. You'll be happier. Now, I'm sure you're going to go back to the boys and your husband and be like, thank you so much. And I appreciate you for doing that. But it's this energy because you got to fulfill your little mission. And then I think when you give back and they also get to fulfill theirs, it just makes for two happy people. And of course, happy parents, I think, at the end of the day. I just told my husband today, he's not feeling the greatest because he just got over COVID and all of that. And I said, baby, you got to go work on your passion. He owns a construction company. And I said, you know what? I just had a reflection moment. I said, everyone needs to be happy in their own things, because if you're not happy in the things that you're doing, you will take that negativity out on the people you love most because you're comfortable. So
100%.
Anyway, I had that aha moment today. That's so funny how we're just chatting about that.
I love it.
I appreciate you for sharing that as well. So Yelena, tell me a little bit more about your business and maybe a few tips that you help your clients with that you could share with our audience as well.
Sure. So I'm the type of person that I believe in necessities and then take it a little bit further by one product. What does that mean? So a lot of times when I was starting out, a lot of women were not wearing a lot of makeup. That's primarily my clientele, those that don't have 4 hours to create an Instagram face, that's right? Me. Or a YouTube face. Yeah, that's me too. Like, this is a 5-minute makeup. And so I started really listening to what they needed instead of wanted. And a lot of us look at these YouTube videos and they're gorgeous and everyone is just perfect. The brows on fleek, the liner is perfect. And you're sitting there like, wow. And then you're buying 100 of those products and you're sitting there. I can't even So what I did was I reversed the formula and I said, I'm going to teach you how to do one thing, and then add to that one thing. And women started appreciating themselves more, that they are learning a technique and they don't feel kind of like, what am I not understanding in this tutorial? And I brought so much education when it comes to cosmetics, because I think when a person really understands, then whatever they're buying, it's going to be with the reason why they did it. So when a person, let's say, comes to me, and this question I get a lot from women, I'm not wearing makeup, but I want to start with something. Great. The first thing I start with is a lip gloss. It doesn't have much pigment, right? It's very sheer. It's not screaming, but you're introducing yourself to a product, to a little color. The next product is the mascara, then the blush. There's like a process. And then as you are getting little by little into it, I always have people watch my tutorials. I am known for 5-minute makeup quickly. And it's pretty makeup. It's not long makeup. You understand? So that's I guess, in a nutshell, the most important thing is the basics.
Yes, I mean, that's why I love your tutorials as well, because they're quick. For me, I am not a makeup fanatic, right? I just need to put on some sort of face, right? So then I can go on with my day. So I think what you are mentioning, I guess that's what attracts me. And we'll chat about, you have a really cool Facebook group that you do these tutorials in. So I would encourage everyone to go in and check that out. But it's what attracts me is like the practicality of makeup, and I think if you are into makeup, that's different. You do want to go in deeper because it's your passion. But I think for women in business, not everyone is that. So I love that you have found a niche and you have found a way to fill that need. And I definitely relate to that, because like I said, I need a practical way to put on my eyeliner and my lip gloss in like 5 seconds, because I have a long agenda and I'm moving around. And if I have to put a face for Zoom, right? Like, can I do it in 5 minutes? Because I don't have any much longer time than that. So that's great. So Yelena, tell me a little bit more about, what do you think makes you different besides that niche that we're just talking about from all the other brands that are on the market right now?
I think it's my accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one thing that I never had with any other brand before I created my own that I had. In other words, if you need to contact the owner of a big brand, you really can't. Nobody's going to really speak to you. If you want, you will need to go to a representative, which I understand when you're big. That's kind of, but I wanted to have a small
the less touch you have.
Yeah. And this is why I created the group, was because there's so many women that I connect with, and I want to be close to everyone, and I want to be accessible. And that's why I am growing at a rate that I can handle in order to speak with each and every person when they have a question. So my accessibility, besides the fact that the brand itself, the product itself is phenomenal, and it's not because it's mine and I'm proud of it, but because it is. We really did a wonderful job creating that formulation. But accessibility and personality, I think that's 75% of the business. When a person can relate to you and not feel like intimidated, I have a question about the mascara, but I'm really like intimidated to ask Elena. That would be a killer for me. I don't ever want anyone to feel that way. So for me to be open and accepting and listening, I think those are really setting me apart from many brands out there.
I love that. Absolutely. It's like that personal service, right? Personalized service, that if you have any specific questions, you not just, have these products and you don't know how to put them on. You actually bring on tutorials. You share lots of information in this Facebook group. So I will definitely add the link on the bottom of the interview as well for anyone that wants to get to know you a little bit more. But yeah, that makes so much sense. Yelena, what if someone wanted to start a makeup business? What would be where should they start? How can they start?
That's a great question. So as a business coach, you know that what I'm going to say is universal for any business. 2 things. Number 1, you need financial support. Either you have a savings account, or you have a daytime job, or you have a spouse that can help you out. That's number 1. You definitely need finances for a year at least. Number 2, you need a support system. meaning not the financial, because that's number one. Number two is who's going to watch your kids if you have kids, who is going to do your laundry if you don't have time to do your laundry, who's going to take care of the house, who's going to hold down. You need a village of people. Either you hire assistants or babysitters or whatever you're going to do. Those two things for any business, cosmetics, laundromat, whatever you're doing, you need those two. If you don't have those two, it's going to be very hard for you to be successful. Market, put it on a thing, put it on a plaque. If you don't have financial support and the support of your family or friends or someone that's going to hold down the house, you will fail. I don't know who was successful without two things in place.
Especially because you have to invest in a product, right? So your business is a product-based business. Yes. So I could definitely see how you need the financial support because you would need to invest maybe initially to even start the business, right? Your product. It's a little bit easier when you're service-based for sure. Because you have a very minimal investment, I feel like.
But still, even with a service-based, while you're growing a business, you need somebody to pay the bills.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that's what I mean by financial. Like, yeah, you need to invest. You might need to invest when you're in service industry in like a site or a microphone or a camera, or you can use your phone, whatever. But I'm saying certain things. But even with service, the time you're going to be putting into the business to become successful, you're going to need people in the back end to really put you out there. The fact that I'm sitting here speaking with you is thanks to the people behind me that are really supporting this business. My husband with the kids, it's such a huge topic that no one ever discusses. So I'm so thankful that you actually asked that, because do not start a business if you don't have these two things. Just don't.
I love you said that, right? Not just because of that fact, but also because you have to, I say it takes 2 years, first of all. The first 2 years that you are building a business, because now I work with clients that are scaling well beyond over 6 figures. So I really arrived at this conclusion, even for me being in business, the first 2 years, or even the 3 years, they say, the first 3 years until you establish your customer base, you're building yourself as well, because I believe business is 80% about you really building yourself up and growing yourself. So then that shows up in your results, in your profits and all your sales and all the other things that you make. But I say the first 2 years, that's why when people come to me, especially a lot of people are going through transition from corporate to how I was a few years back, I say, keep your job if you can. If you can, obviously, right? Keep your job if you can for the first 2 years. It will take you a good 2 years to start a side hustle and to start growing something. So then when you can replace that income, then you make a smart decision and you are not in this survival mode, because that also drives the way that you run your business, those decisions. When you are in survival mode, you can't really be free.
You're impaired.
That passion, it's going to mess with you because you're going to be thinking about the bills, all these other things that are needed. So you are absolutely right about it takes a village to run a business and build a business, takes a village to run and really help with parenting, right? And it's kind of like a similar thing that I just thought about as well. So Yelena, thank you for everything that you have shared so far. I think we touched a little bit of everything.
It was really
questions could have been a topic on its own, but I'll bring you back and we can chat definitely more. Yes, about other topics that I'm sure are very, we all as women and entrepreneurs and moms, we really could benefit from. Just sometimes hearing the same thing, but coming from someone else just makes you feel good. It's like, oh, I'm not the only one struggling with it,
And sometimes I'll even add to that. Sometimes you could be thinking it, but I'm actually saying it. And you're like, oh, okay. Because a lot of people, they don't want to talk about it, especially now with the cancel culture. People are holding it in. So when somebody speaks it, you're like, oh, okay. So then it's okay. They give permission to say it. So it's important to vocalize. It's important to influence in a positive way. So I actually thank you for doing this. You have such wonderful guests on, and they're all very dynamic, very different, and they're all speaking basically about the same thing: is happiness and moving forward and transitioning with power and not the lack thereof. So really, kudos to you.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, at the ultimate goal, I think we all want that. We just want to really fulfill our purpose, fulfill our potential, and see what we're capable of and contribute back. Because happiness comes from fulfillment and helping other people. So I think at the end of the day, our common goal is the same. Our journeys are all different. Our definition of success is all different. And as long as we know what that is and we strive every day to improve and get better, I think that's really ultimately, it's not about the results, it's not about the things we achieve. I believe it's about the journey of who we become into that process. And I think that's what really shapes our meaningful contribution that we give back to society and beyond. And why not? Women, especially, I think it's our time now to showcase our abilities and all these things that we can do, build businesses so that we can create our own circumstances, our own economy, so we can put back things into society. So I think it's the time for sure. And I love it. For me, it's like a master class on its own, just to bring on people. And I learned so much from everyone. I learned so much from you as well today. But it's picking people's brains. It's amazing because everyone's got so much knowledge and expertise. And I think as women, we don't always know that. We don't always know our worth.
True.
So I think the more we talk about it, the more we see other stories, and the more we give ourselves permission to go ahead and show up and raise our visibility and share what we know. There's no perfectionism. There's no right or wrong. We all have different journeys. So I think the more we do that, the more we can help inspire each other. And that's how this whole idea, not just from my work, but also it started, that I wanted to just show up, build a new platform where we can come on and do this. Yeah, Yelena, thank you so much for everything you shared. We have reached the end of the interview. So I'm going to ask you, where is it that the audience can find more about you and about all the things that you have going on in your business?
Well, you can reach me on any social media platform at Aneley Cosmetics. That's my name backwards, Aneley Cosmetics with an S. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And join my group and learn, some tips and tricks on how to create your own makeup looks and your own personality in the makeup world. So that would be Aneley Cosmetics Beauty, and it's on Facebook.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on, for taking time. Go back to hubby and the kids. Really, thank you for your time today, Yelena. And we have reached the end of our show, and we'll see each other next week. Also, if you have any questions for Yelena, you can always type those up in the comments. And I'm sure between me and Yelena, we'll be able to answer any questions that you guys have. Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care, love.